with the biggest story of the day, which is about MiLaysia Fulwiley. Because for 2 seasons, y'all, she was the spark plug off the bench, the walking highlight reel, the generational talent with the smooth handle, kind of like smoother than butter, you get it? Laid with the butter. And she was someone who looked like a fantastic pro in the making. And she had a first step that was super fast. She was flashy. She was fun. And now she's out. Entering the transfer portal and heading out of Columbia, South Carolina. Just like that, she is gone. And if you're shocked, well, you're not alone. You are not alone. And I was just as shocked as you all were. Because a couple of days ago, I made a video talking about there was no way MiLaysia would transfer. She's a Columbia kid through and through. She grew up a couple minutes away from the arena. She wore the hometown jersey with pride, and she chose Dawn Staley when she could have went anywhere in the country. She could have gone anywhere. And it felt like MiLaysia believed in the process. It felt like she was fully bought in until suddenly she wasn't. So, to understand the weight of this decision, we kind of have to understand who MiLaysia Fulwiley actually is. Because, yeah, she's a big deal. She's a very, very big deal. Not just in South Carolina, but in the entire country. She's a 5'10" player who just finished up her sophomore year. This past season, she averaged 11.7 points a game, 2 assists a game, shot 42% from the field. And we kind of have to understand that she is not just any player, right? She is her in a lot of ways. She is that player who is a very naturally gifted athlete. We've seen her in high school where she was a 5-star McDonald's All-American. She was, I believe, number 13 in her class of 2023. She was a 4-time state champion in high school. And she was the girl who would just drop 40 points just for fun, right? She was someone who was exceptionally flashy, exceptionally talented, and was an exceptional winner. They don't make guards like MiLaysia Fulwiley very often. She was flashy. She had the spin moves. She had the no-look passes. She had the floaters with defenders all on her. And she was someone who was productive. Over the last 2 years with South Carolina, she averaged nearly 12 points a game at 11.2 this past season. She was the SEC tournament MVP as a freshman, and she was second on the team when it came to scoring. All of this as a bench player. And I think that is some of the tension that defines her time at South Carolina. She came off the bench for South Carolina, but was still the face of the team. Maybe not officially, but let's be real. When it came to South Carolina versus a team, who was ESPN putting in the header? Who were other networks or other websites and whatnot putting in the header? When people were talking about South Carolina, the face they used was MiLaysia Fulwiley. She had she was signed with the Curry brand, had her own PE. Like, look at this shoe. Look at how awesome the shoe is. Right? She was someone who was a brand. And still, she came off the bench. It's amazing. It's amazing when we talk about this what lay with the butter really meant. Like, look at the shoe. And she got this coming off the bench for South Carolina. In a lot of ways, she was the face of the team, right? She was. She was someone who had a lot of endorsements. She had Steph Curry walking into Chase Center with her t-shirt on, right? In an era of NIL and personal branding where it matters, MiLaysia Fulwiley had star power in spades. Even when she was getting less than 19 minutes a game, she was still the star. Flat out the star when it came to South Carolina. And everyone knew it. Everybody knew it. Dawn Staley knew it. She called MiLaysia a dynamic player, a generational talent. She said that she was learning to play lean, right? Trying to draw down the razzle dazzle a little bit, and just fit within the structure of what South Carolina basketball is like. And guys, MiLaysia tried. She tried. She tried to get. She bought into what Dawn was looking to do. She played defense. She shared the ball. She sacrificed her game. Not all the time, but like overall, she tried, right? But there were cracks. There were moments where it felt like the leash was a little bit too short. Like when she only played a couple minutes in that UCLA game in November, or when she barely saw the court in the Sweet 16, despite being the reason why South Carolina ended up pulling away from Maryland. Those moments kind of tell a story. Yes, MiLaysia was essential to South Carolina being successful. However, she wasn't fully trusted. Not yet, at least. Not yet, at least. Here's what Dawn Staley ended up saying a little while ago about her overall belief in MiLaysia Fulwiley.
Playing her best basketball. Like it's come together for her. Like she's a young talent that has incredible, like she's a competitor. Like and losses really bring out something. Just a more focused, a more like she's more efficient. She's getting layups. Like she's not settling for just taking threes. She's actually attacking the basket to make layups. And I do think that that's something that we've talked about for a long time. Like nobody can stop you. Your speed is your superpower. Like it is. And I think I told a couple weeks ago, like she's leaving 6 to 8 points out there just in layups. She's getting them now. Like she's taking them. And Joyce has built her scoring average on making layups. If you just make layups, you can easily score in double figures easily in our game. But that's hard to do. It takes a real disciplined person to focus and concentrate when you got bodies around you to put the ball in the hole. But we got two of the best that's doing it. Like right now on a consistent basis. And if Fagan always makes her layups, like Reezy, when she gets there, she makes her layup. So I think it's going to be contagious to where we can continue to control the paint.
So this is what Dawn Staley had to say in February. Shout out to Matt Dow for the video of this. But she was talking about MiLaysia Fulwiley and was basically saying like, hey, how talented MiLaysia is. And it's just about focusing. It's about focusing. And it's about, her, yes, using her speed, but also slowing it down a little bit to do the simple things like making layups and whatnot. And then she talked about some of the other players and what they were doing and whatnot. But I show that to show that Dawn Staley fully understood what talent she had in MiLaysia Fulwiley. And she was trying to develop her into more than just a walking highlight reel, right? Dawn was trying to overall get MiLaysia to trust the process, right? That trust the process phrase kind of really, really kicked it into gear in my opinion during the Boston Celtics days, right? Boston Celtics is all about trust the process. Like that was what it was all about, right? And we thought that the whole trust the process thing, it kind of makes it a little bit more surprising because that's what we thought that MiLaysia was doing. It seemed like MiLaysia Fulwiley was committed to the process. She said publicly she was all in, right? She talked about Dawn Staley as a recruiter. She kept her head up when her minutes went down. She deflected rumors, but something eventually changed. Maybe it was the championship loss to UConn. Maybe it was seeing her minutes slip in the biggest game of the season again. Maybe. Because guys, as I said earlier, MiLaysia Fulwiley doesn't lose. She doesn't lose, right? She won 4 championships in high school. Won the national championship her freshman year in college. Goes to the championship game again, doesn't play a great game, and loses. And after that game was over, she really felt it. Here's what she said at the time, because it felt like she was very emotional at the time about losing.
Leadership, the friendliness is this class for you?
It's really big. They're like my sisters. We grow together. I feel like I've grown as a player with them, and it's sad that they have to leave, but I know they're going to do great things on the next level.
Earlier you said they came out because they wanted to win a national championship and that you guys didn't. Can you just kind of put your finger on why you feel like that maybe is?
I don't know. I just think they just had more grit than us. Like, they got loose balls. They ran their stuff. They didn't back down from us. I felt like we came out on the same level, but like we didn't keep it going. We didn't like keep it up, and we just got to get in the gym and get better. You know, it was a time where we were stopping them on defense, but we couldn't score. So it's like it was kind of pointless. So we just got to get back in the gym and get better individually, because these teams are going to come for us, and UConn is going to be like our rivalry for the next few years. They're young just like we're young, so we got to get better.
Are they just a bad matchup for y'all? And is that something that y'all can look to during the summer to try to figure out, okay, we need to do this a little bit better because we're probably going to face them again? Yeah,
definitely. I feel like their coach definitely took advantage of like the mismatch matchups that they had. Like it was times where they just like blew past or like backdoored. It was like easy scores for them. And I think they just kept doing what was working for them, which was cutting back door. We tried to like stop them from shooting threes. I mean, that worked out for us, but we had to execute on the other side of the other end of the court, and we didn't. Like, I don't know, they have a very good coach. I feel like it was kind of smart for him to just keep running the same things that was working on us, and we just got to get better on the defensive end. Like, most of the points that they scored was unacceptable.
I hear in your voice your determination to get back here a year from now. What are you going to be doing the next 365 days?
Just getting better, just trying to understand a lot of things, and just thinking, and really just trying to think, and just trying to think things through and saying what's best for.
So that's what she was saying after the the championship game loss. Again, shout out to Matt Dole for the video for this. She was feeling very emotional about losing, right? Again, this is someone who doesn't really lose. She wins. She doesn't lose. And so this was a very different feel for her. Now entering the transfer portal, you're now going to likely be going to a team that will lose definitely more games than she did at South Carolina. Remember, her freshman year at South Carolina, she went undefeated, right? It's a different kind of vibe. A different kind of vibe now for South Carolina and for MiLaysia Fulwiley, especially since she is leaving this program. This is a team that lost 4 games all season. In MiLaysia's college career, she's only lost 4 games. Remember, last year or 2 seasons ago, she was undefeated. This past season, she lost 4 games in total. It's pretty much a guarantee that wherever she goes, next year, she's going to lose way more than 4 games because it's just the nature of how things go. Now, let's see what y'all have to say. JJ, thank you so much for the super chat. Says, when Lay is on, it's poetry. When she is off, she's a turnover machine. She has to improve her game significantly to be truly successful in the W. Yeah. I think you're right. I think you're right. Now, there was a lot of speculation after the announcement was made that she is entering the transfer portal. A lot of speculation. It was like, oh, was it the fact that they lost in the championship game? Was it the fact that that Tanaya Latson, the leading scorer in D1 in D1 this past season, maybe it's the fact that she's going to South Carolina, Or is it because Raven Johnson also is returning to South Carolina? There was a lot of talk about that. And here's my perspective on that. I want to talk through my perspective because I actually don't think that's what it was. Whatever the reason is as to why MiLaysia Fulwiley has entered the transfer portal, I don't think it has to do with Raven Johnson. I don't. Because Raven Johnson is a point guard. I don't really think of MiLaysia Fulwiley as a point guard. I don't think it's really because of Tania Latson, because to me, I envision next year Raven, Tania, and MiLaysia in the starting lineup. That's what I envision. And with the athleticism that MiLaysia has, I think she could do fine at the small forward role if she needed to. So like that's my thoughts there. I think actually let me just continue on it, and we'll kind of walk through kind of like the overall thoughts on that front. I think ultimately the noise might have gotten to MiLaysia Fulwiley because the fans who was screaming her name, MiLaysia, you're so fantastic, yada yada yada. MiLaysia is a walking bucket, walking highlight reel, all that stuff. Lay with the butter is doing it again, all that stuff. We're now shouting, she should leave the team. She should be starting. Ain't no way. She coming off the bench and she is doing what she is doing on the court. No way. Dawn Staley is the problem. Give MiLaysia her own team. She needs to leave and yada, yada, yada. I think all of that stuff might have gotten to her. Might have. But overall, here's the deal. It is a star's dilemma. Do you want freedom or fit? Freedom or fit? At South Carolina, MiLaysia Fulwiley had structure. She had coaching. She had culture. She had accountability, but she didn't have full freedom. In high school, MiLaysia had full freedom to do whatever she wants because she was just that good and she could. At South Carolina, that never really was the case. Dawn Staley is a fantastic coach for a reason. She runs a tight ship. And for MiLaysia and all of her talent, sometimes she played with fire a little bit. Ill-timed turnovers, heat check shots, occasional lapses in focus. But for the cons that led to, it also was what made her so special. In a different system, one that lets her run the show, one that builds fully around her and lets her do her, MiLaysia Fulwiley could absolutely explode. I'm talking 20 plus points a game. I'm talking Sports Center highlights just about every night. I'm talking WNBA scouts drooling. But that type of game does not actually lead to winning in a lot of cases, because in order to win, you have to play team basketball, which is what South Carolina was doing. If you just want to be a star, you can absolutely be a star. You won't win, probably. So the question is, where does she go? Where does MiLaysia Fulwiley go? She has 2 years of eligibility left. She still has a lot of NIL value, right? She has the shoes, the brand, the various brands that she's connected to. And she's going to be, at this point, the biggest name in the portal by a mile. So, where does she go? And what is her thought process around that? Let's get to, we had another super chat in the building. Thank you so much to Officer Davis for the super chat. Says, not Raven or Latson. People don't give South Carolina credit on the individual awards. I think she wants the accolades. If she was about wins, she stays. I do think if she was about wins, she stays, because I don't know where she can go where she would be able to have way more freedom and win way more games. I think that's a very, very difficult thing to do. Thank you so much, Daniel, for the super chat. Says, Lay would clearly do better as a starter. A lot of great players need high usage to be great. She didn't get on the court experience she needed at South Carolina. Here, I definitely hear your take on that. And I got another super chat, and I want to show y'all some data that y'all may not know that may put more stuff into context. Okay, it may put more stuff into context. Let's get to another Super Chat. Thank you so much. Women's Sports Champ for the Super Chat says, I think she would be fun to watch in Kim Caldwell's system at Tennessee. It would be fun to watch, but Kim Caldwell's system does not really allow for individual accolades and awards like that. The way Kim Caldwell runs her team, because you're not going to be on the court long enough to get those individual awards because she's subbing hockey style every single time. So it would be interesting though. It would really, really be interesting. But here's some data I want to share with you all because y'all may not know this, and I do think it's important to see. Oh wait, no, that's not it. Hold on. Here we go. All right, here's a very important thing to look at. All right, so what we're looking at right now is, thank you so much, Kentucky Rick. Y'all, if y'all like this shirt, it says peace, love, and women's basketball, and then Quita loves sports in the middle. If y'all want to pick that up, y'all can pick that up at QLSapparel.com, QLSapparel.com. Yesterday, I wore one of my shirts as well. So again, QLSapparel.com. Okay, so here's what I want to show y'all. This is the overall stats for the entire season for South Carolina. And there's a huge narrative, and I talk about it sometimes too, in terms of MiLaysia Fulwiley not fully getting a full leash to kind of do whatever, like to really, really shine and do and do all that stuff. But the stats go against the narrative around MiLaysia and what Dawn Staley gives her. Because if we look at the stats, all right, and we just sort of see how everything fluctuates. So in terms of average minutes, yeah, she averaged around like 18 minutes a game. Uh-oh. Why does that keep happening? She averaged around 18 minutes a game. Hold on, guys. One second. I just want to show this document for us all to look at together. All right. One second. Okay. All right. So here are the cumulative stats from this past season. All right. And we saw that on average, MiLaysia averaged around 18 minutes a game. And when it came to field goal attempts, this goes against the conversation around Dawn, really stifling MiLaysia Fulwiley. To me, these numbers go against that, okay? So, MiLaysia attempted 406 field goals this year. If we look at every other player on this team, MiLaysia averaged more attempts, all right? So 406 a game, all right? So we look at everybody else. No one's that high, right? Joyce Edwards 365. Tina Powell 315. You get the idea, right? You all kind of get the idea of this. And then we look at field goal percentage. So she's averaging way more shots than everybody else. She attempts way more shots than everybody else on the team. Even though she averages 18 minutes a game. In 18 minutes a game, she has way more field goal attempts than anybody on the team. Okay? And with that being said, her field goal average is she shoots 42% from the field. All right? And we compare that to everybody else. Joyce Edwards shoots 52% from the field. Of course, a different position. But if we want to compare similar positions, right? Similar positions. Tina Powell shoots 44% from the field. Tessa Johnson shoots 47% from the field, right? Bree Hall's worse, 38%. Raven Johnson's worse, 35%. But you get the idea, right? You get the idea. We look at 3-point percentage. MiLaysia is at 25%. Tina Powell, 37%. Tessa Johnson, 43%. Raven Johnson, actually a better 3-point shooter, with 29%. I mean, still, that's not 29% is not good, but also 25% is worse. My point is, guys, we saw a lot more. Some of the narrative is overblown, is what I'm trying to say. The point of me showing this is that some of the narrative around MiLaysia not really getting the shots that she needs to and whatnot, compared to the rest of her team, it doesn't fully track with what the data shows. All right, and then we look at turnovers. Yeah, turnovers. It was 73 turnovers for MiLaysia. She did lead the team in turnovers. But she also led the team in steals, right? She was also pretty high on the blocks as well. So the purpose of this. Yeah, this is the turnover column. Right, she leads the team in turnovers. The purpose of me showing this is that MiLaysia Fulwiley is a walking highlight reel. She is someone who is extremely special, extremely talented player who, yes, could average 20 plus points a game. Her ceiling is insane. It's very high up there, very high. And it felt like Dawn was giving her a lot of opportunities. And then when it got too much, she would pull it back and send MiLaysia to the bench. Because this was a trust the process type of deal. We know you're exceptionally talented. We know you can do anything you want. But there is a structure and there is a way that we want you to go about doing this. And even with MiLaysia being held back to a certain extent, she still averaged more field goals than everybody on the team at 18 minutes a game. So this is one of those things where truly my perspective, which I've said before, but my perspective is that MiLaysia should not have transferred. My perspective, because I think she needed a little bit more of that structure that Dawn Staley was giving her. Now, MiLaysia is fantastic. MiLaysia can do whatever she wants. MiLaysia will be a star wherever she goes. 100%. 100%. But I just want to share this with y'all just to give y'all a little bit more extra context, because I don't know if anybody has shown people this while they're talking. So like, yeah, you can talk about the minutes that she averages, right? You can talk about that. But then when you look at the actual details of it, it tells a different story, right? It tells a different story. Yes, she was second in the team. She was second in the team when it came to points per game with 11.7 points a game, right? Behind only Joyce Edwards, which is amazing that two of your bench players are leading the team in scoring, which is that's kind of crazy. That is kind of crazy. That is kind of crazy. But I will say this: not everything is for everybody. Now, while I thought it would have been pretty interesting for her to continue to trust the process through what South Carolina was trying to do and what Dawn Staley was trying to get out of MiLaysia, here's the deal: not everything is for everybody. And yeah, did it feel like a lot of MiLaysia's game didn't quite fit with South Carolina? It didn't. And partially you could tell that by just even just looking at the field goal percentage and attempts. There was a lot of quick shot taking that MiLaysia did that didn't quite fit with South Carolina, especially this season, because they didn't have that sort of like big woman like a Camila Cardoso that can bail them out of some of the not so smart decisions that the guards will make. And so this year, some of what MiLaysia did hurt the team more than it would have last year, because they didn't have anybody. Well, they did, but no one like a Camila who could literally just kind of save the day for the team. And so that's something to know. That's something to note. Women's Sports Champ, thank you so much for the super chat, says, I think she would be fun to watch in Kim Caldwell's system at Tennessee. She would be fun to watch. She would be. Does she go there? I don't know. I think that's a different thing. Does she go there? But I think she would be really fun to watch in that system. Yeah. NP, thanks so much for the super chat, says, just tuning in. Sorry if it hasn't been said, but I think Fulwiley goes to USC to fill in for Juju. P.S. I love your channel. Well, thank you so much for rocking with the channel. I think that would be pretty interesting. But to be honest with you, the Lindsay Gottlieb's system or non-system at times. I don't know. Like, yes, it would be cool to see MiLaysia running everything at USC. However, I think she needs a little bit more structure than what is happening at USC. Officer Davis, thank you so much for the additional super chat. Says, we love Lay. We wish her well. Stop that narrative that she's a bad player and Dawn did something wrong. She's in the portal, can rescind. And that's something to note. She can rescind. Players can enter the portal, look around and be like, actually, you know what? I don't want to be here. Can I come back? And I guarantee you, if MiLaysia Fulwiley changes her mind, I think that Don would be like, okay, I'll take you back. Okay, that's fine. Now if it's another player who would say, oh, I want to transfer and then change their mind, I don't think Don would go for it. But I think for MiLaysia, I think she would. I think she'd be like, okay, all right. Because you can tell the love that Don Staley and specifically Khadijah Sessions, one of the assistant coaches, you could tell the love they have for MiLaysia. You know that they care about her more than just what she can do on the court. So I do think that if she wanted to come back, I do think they would say, okay, all right. But I don't think they would do it for everybody. I don't think they'd do it for most people. I think they'd do it for her though. But no, I don't think that. Yeah, the narrative about Dawn doing something wrong. I don't think Dawn did anything. I think MiLaysia is an exceptional player, and I think she just decided that, hey, my time is done here. Even though it's surprising because she was saying that she was all bought in and whatnot, but hey, yeah, it's interesting. Ryan, thank you so much for the super chat. Says, wait, so Raven and Bree had a lower field goal percentage, playing more minutes and scoring less. Let's go to Raven Johnson had an overall worse field goal percentage than MiLaysia, but she did score the 3-ball better. And Bree Hall, was lower overall for the field goal percentage. Here's the deal, though. The way that South Carolina plays, everything starts on defense. And that starts with the starters on the court. So Raven's job and Bree Hall's job is to guard the best player on the other team. That's her job. Seemingly every single game is to guard the best player. Make sure they don't score, right? And for Raven, it seemed like her job is play some really good defense and just sort of lead the team. Neither of their jobs, in my opinion, is to score. If they score, great, but I don't think that's their job. I think their job starts on defense, and that's why Dawn brought in the bench early, because the bench, in a lot of cases, was the scoring muscle for this team. You can tell by the two leading scorers in MiLaysia and Joyce Edwards, right? So that's my thoughts there. Like that's kind of my thoughts. Now I do want to see what else y'all have to say, and then we're gonna talk about where she may go and what things she may want to factor in. All right. Thank you so much, Women's Sports Champ, for the super chat. Says MiLaysia may be doing this for the publicity, and so the conversation gets fully had, and then rescind and move on with South Carolina. I don't think MiLaysia would do that. Now, yes, it is possible, but like I don't know. It doesn't feel like that's something that she would do. I don't think there's an ulterior motive of like, ooh, I'm going to say what I gotta say to get Dawn to start me. Because honestly, I really do think Dawn would have had MiLaysia starting next year anyway. It was either going to be MiLaysia or Tessa who was going to start next year, alongside Taniyah Latson and Raven Johnson. All right, so that's my thoughts there. That's my thoughts there. Anyway, let's talk about where in the world will MiLaysia go? And here's some stuff that I think is important to note and to be cognizant about. And also, guys, if y'all have not hit that like button, make sure to hit that like button. Really does help the channel out a whole lot. Please hit that like. Please subscribe to the channel. Right now, we got 900 people in the chat. but we only have 200 likes. Can we get it up to 600 likes, please? Can we get closer to 600, 700 likes? That really would help the channel out a lot. Also, guys, make sure to subscribe to the channel. I am on the road to 50,000 subscribers. So make sure y'all do that if y'all want to just continue to rock out with what we're doing on this channel. Like, I make content all about women's basketball. That is my thing. I try to do it the right way. I try to really, talk about the game as a longtime fan, as someone who loves women's basketball, and try to give various perspectives and just try to do it the right way. So if that's cool with you, if that's something that y'all are rocking with, make sure y'all subscribe to the channel. We have made this now a subscriber-only chat. So if you want to chat, if you want to say something in the chat, you just have to subscribe, and then you can write whatever you like. Anyway, let's talk about where she may go. Where will she go? So a couple things to note is that South Carolina is a Under Armour school, and we have MiLaysia Fulwiley, who is a Under Armour athlete. All right, she is signed with the Steph Curry brand. It is an Under Armour brand, and that could be a factor, possibly. That could be a factor. Now, does it have to be? No. So I saw people talking about. Oh, MiLaysia has to go to an Under Armour school because she signed with Under Armour. That's actually not the case. She can go to an Under Armour school, right? She can, but does she have to? No, she doesn't. And for those who are wondering, the Under Armour schools are, she can go to Maryland is Under Armour school, Notre Dame. I'm talking about the bigger schools. So it's really, if she wanted to go to an Under Armour school, she would either have to go to Notre Dame, Maryland, Auburn, though at the same time, she doesn't, I don't think Auburn is really in the conversation, just because of the changes that they had and whatnot. So yeah, Under Armour schools would be Maryland or Notre Dame in terms of like really good teams right now who are Under Armour. She doesn't have to go to Under Armour because if y'all remember, Angel went to LSU. LSU is a Nike school, and Angel was signed with Reebok, right? You don't have to. You don't have to. What was it? Flau'jae Johnson. Who was she signed with? Is she with Puma? Is Flau'jae with Puma? Hold on. Is Flau'jae? I think Flau'jae is. Where's Flau'jae? Yeah, Flau'jae is with Puma. And again, LSU is a Nike school. You don't have to. You do not have to go. You don't have to go with the brand who you have an NIL deal with. You don't have to. So yes, MiLaysia can go to an Under Armour school. She doesn't have to. So like that conversation, and also I guess it depends on the specific what's specifically in her contract. But other players have done it before, and so yeah, other players have done it. We'll ultimately see what happens from here. But yeah, though I wouldn't think that this is a crazy deal if she doesn't go to Under Armour school. So that conversation could happen. So maybe Under Armour doesn't have to be. So if it's Under Armour, it would need to be Notre Dame or Maryland. Notre Dame, I don't think is likely. Now, would it be fun to watch Hannah and MiLaysia? Sure. But if MiLaysia and Olivia didn't work, I don't understand. And yes, they're two different players. Like Olivia and MiLaysia are very different players. But when we look at Hannah's game and MiLaysia's game, they're both similar. They are similar athletes, meaning that they are players who primarily drive to the basket. They are players who play very, very loose and free and reckless at times. It's just that Hannah has the full leash to kind of do whatever she wants at Notre Dame, and MiLaysia didn't at South Carolina. Now, I don't think MiLaysia and Hannah can and should coexist on the same team. They're basically the same athlete. Not fully the same, but like they have a lot of similarities, was what I'm trying to say. They have a whole lot of similarities. It's just that Hannah is better at defense. I don't think that makes any sense. So yeah, it would be fun to watch. I don't think it makes any sense. Maryland would be really interesting, but Brenda Freeze she's an old school coach, and so some of the stuff that Dawn was probably getting on MiLaysia about, you could pretty much guarantee that Brenda Freeze will be doing the same thing. And so it's a question mark of, okay, well, how does her role really change? Then you can say, oh, MiLaysia wants to go somewhere where she will win. Okay. If her full goal is to win, if that's the goal, win a championship, well, in a lot of ways, you should have just stayed at South Carolina. If that was your goal. If your goal was to win, you would do South Carolina or UConn. UConn, she won't be able to do whatever she wants to do at UConn. So do you want to go where you can be a star? Well, you can pick your gamut. You have the pick of the litter when it comes to where you can be a star. Because a lot of these teams will allow you to be a star. Now, here's a different category I have of teams that allow MiLaysia to be a lot more freer with the structure and the team around it that could possibly make some noise. And those teams include Ole Miss. Those teams include those teams include possibly a TCU. Those teams include honestly, going back to South Carolina as an option. Also, possibly UCLA. So Ole Miss, TCU, UCLA, Duke. Duke is high up there. And I'm going to say Tennessee, Texas, Louisville. I think those schools and those coaches can allow her to be more free, not fully free, to do whatever she wants, but more free to be her normal self with a seatbelt, while also possibly being a contender. Possibly. Now, a couple things to note is that Ole Miss, Duke, huge defensive teams, that's what they do. Defense, right? And I think that would help her a whole lot, and could allow her to just develop even further. To me, if I had some favorites of where I would love for her to go, it's either Duke or Ole Miss. I would love it. Like I think that could be really, really fun. Because yes, Duke just lost Aluchi Akanawa in the transfer portal. I'm going to talk about her in just a bit. They did just lose her. But there's a lot of potential there, and the coaches are very firm, and I think they could be good for MiLaysia, because we all know MiLaysia's crazy talented. We all know. Everybody knows that. She can go somewhere and put up some crazy numbers and be fantastic. But I think she needs to go somewhere that has a little bit more, that has close to the amount of structure that South Carolina has, and coaches that really, really care. Like really, really care about her as a person, not just what she can do on the court. And I think the two coaches that would be best for her, in my opinion, though, I don't know MiLaysia. I never talked to her. This is just from an outside perspective. From what I see, I think that I think that Ole Miss and I think the Duke could be great places. I do. Now, could she also go to LSU? Yes. LSU is a possibility, because we know that Kim Mulkey loves a bucket getter with star power. She loves it, right? Kim Mulkey allowed Flau'jae Johnson to be herself, to be literally a rapper and a player at the same time, right? She allowed Angel Reese to be herself. And if MiLaysia Fulwiley went to LSU, I can guarantee you that Kim Mulkey would be like, okay, Go ahead and do your thing. Go ahead and do your thing. Track Life Gaming says LSU would be Showtime. It would be. It would be. I think Kim Mulkey would allow MiLaysia the freedom to do whatever. Right? I think she has the freedom. Now, how exactly that would work, we'll see. In terms of winning, LSU would be very, very fun to watch with Michaela Williams, MiLaysia Fulwiley, and Flau'jae Johnson. I think that would be very, very fun to watch. And LSU got the money for it in terms of NIL. So if NIL is a deal, hey, they got the money for it. It's just that I don't think LSU would win with that combination. I don't think they would win. I think they would be very, very fun, but I don't think they would win. I don't. So that's why I really do have Duke and Ole Miss at the sort of top part of my list. Officer Davis, thank you so much for the super chat, says, please remember to be respectful. Lay is a kid in a business. She has the right to explore her options. She's not ungrateful. Yeah, I am of the mind that players can do whatever they want. If players want to enter the transfer portal, they should enter the transfer portal. Now, do I think that it would have been awesome to see her stay at South Carolina? Yes. However, she can do whatever she wants. Here's the deal. Players are empowered now to go wherever they want. This is a new day. This is a new day when it comes to player autonomy. And MiLaysia could have went. It wasn't like Dawn and South Carolina gave MiLaysia a chance. MiLaysia could have went anywhere she wanted when she was coming into college. She chose South Carolina. She balled out at South Carolina. And off the bench, was in a lot of cases the best player on the court in terms of just flat out talent. And now she's leaving. We don't know why. She could be leaving for more money. She could be leaving for more freedom. She could be leaving just for a better fit. Or she could be leaving because she wants to get out of South Carolina. That's where she's from, right? She's been there her life, like, she's been there basically her whole life. She was a star not even that far from where South Carolina plays their games, right? Maybe she just wants to change the scenery. Like, there's a whole bunch of stuff. There's a whole bunch of stuff that it could be. Either way, she can do whatever she wants. She's entitled to do that. And while overall, I am not a fan of just the sheer amount of people in the transfer portal, over 25% of women basketball players in the transfer portal, even though I don't like overall how that is, I'm cool with individuals deciding what's best for them. Do it. Decide on what is best for you. And they should have the freedom to do that. NC State could be pretty cool. It could be pretty interesting to see her play at NC State. That could be really, really interesting. Really, really interesting. All right, guys. All right. So yeah, there's lots of options. There's lots of options where MiLaysia could end up going, but who knows? Maybe she shocks everyone again and stays home. The portal, just because someone enters the portal does not mean they are necessarily gone. Not yet, at least. Players can pull out of the portal, but I don't actually think that would happen because this time this doesn't feel like an instance where she would come back. If she wanted to, I'm sure South Carolina will welcome her back, but I don't think that is what she will end up doing.